Okay, just got done doing a modification on this Challenger, TRS Challenger 850 AM sideband mobile radio. I thought I'd do a video that's specific to this radio and its big brother, the TRS Challenger 1400 base station, on how to unlock the clarifier. So right now the modification's already been done. The radio's hooked up, coax cable goes over to the 1040 BK, and then the output, the frequency counter output on that comes over to this bottom frequency counter right here. So with the clarifier now I have not done the alignment on this yet. I literally just did the modification, and after we get done seeing what the range is on this, I'll show you exactly how to do the modification on it. But after I get done this, I still have to do the full alignment on the radio. But currently the clarifier is set to full counterclockwise rotation. So we have, I guess it would help if I turned the radio on. So we have 27.183061. If we go to full clockwise rotation, 27.185504. So let's say it was 27.1830 something. So let's say 27.183. So it's approximately what, 2,500 kilohertz slide full range. So that's approximately how much you'll get out of one of these on slide. Now, getting more slide out of these is not as easy as most radios. I don't want to say they wanted to make this thing modification proof for extra channels, but man, it sure seems like they engineered it that way. You know, between the non-friendly PLL chip and just the way they have the clarifier circuit set up, it's a lot of work to get much range out of these clarifiers. You almost have to add a completely separate circuit with a separate transformer, you know, one of the tunable transformers, you know, like one of these, and some other components to get much more range. So I'm going to stop the video here real quick, and then we'll be right back. The radio will be disconnected, that way I can flip it over and, you know, turn it around so I can show you how to do the modification. Okay, and we're back now, and the radio's been unhooked. So the first thing you're going to do, we'll get the radio turned around here so you're looking at it from the back side. We want to first take a look at the clarifier control. On the clarifier, now the modification's the same for both radios, the mobile and the base station. The only difference is some of the wire colors. So the first thing we're going to do is on the clarifier, the bottom one that now has this white wire. I've added that. We'll get to that in a minute. In a factory radio, you're going to find in the mobile radio has 2 blue wires attached to it. And if this was a model 1400 base station, you would find a red wire and a white wire. So depending on which one you're working on, either a red and a white or a blue and a blue. You're going to remove both of those wires, solder them together, and put a piece of heat shrink tubing on them. They no longer are connected to anything. Next thing you're going to do is now attach a new piece of wire to that terminal you just removed these 2 wires from. Attach a wire to it, and you need to now apply a full-time 8 volts to the clarifier. Now these boards can't ask for better laid out and descriptive hookups on these because they actually labeled everything. So if we look over here, which would be, if the radio was turned around facing me, it would be the right front. But the second wire over on the front here in this radio originally had a single pink wire. I'm not sure if that's showing up very good in the camera. It's a very light pink. That was that wire. Went into that hole. And what you do is just desolder it. The holes are big enough to have several wires in them, but unsolder it and then install your wire down into that same hole, because if you follow that wire, you can see that goes over to the clarifier now. So that's where you're going to pick up your full-time 8 volts. The next thing you want to do is disconnect. And where did the wire get to? Where the heck, out there it is. It slipped underneath there. Okay. Now this is another one that's a little bit different between the mobile and the base station. So in this mobile radio, there is a single brown wire. If you're working on the model 1400 base station radio, you're going to find 2 yellow wires. And where they go is, if you look down here, same part, front of the board. This is marked TXRX for transmit receive, CONT. There's a hole down there. It's kind of shadowed a little bit. Get the light repositioned here. There you go. You're going to remove either this single brown wire or those two yellow wires. On the mobile, with the single brown wire, just put a piece of heat shrink tubing over it that's no longer connected to anything. And in the base station radio, disconnect the two yellow wires and do the same thing you did here. Solder those two yellow wires together, and same thing, put a piece of heat shrink tubing over it. They no longer go to anything. And then the last thing you need to do, radio turn back around here, is remove a single ceramic capacitor. Get it picked up here, the one I actually removed out of the radio. And that's this little guy. It's a 15 picofarad. Get that to focus or not. It's 15 picofarad. And that's in this position right behind. Now there's two CV1s. There's a CV1 here, and there's another one back here. Don't do anything back here. This is going to be on the same PLL board right behind where you're doing your work before. So behind CV1, you're going to find marked C9 in the mobile radio. In the base station, I believe it's marked C8. But that's where you'll find this 15 picofarad capacitor. It's in parallel with this ceramic trimmer right here. So that capacitor right there, which is this little guy right here, you're going to remove that. Modification is now done. Bundle your wires up, and it's other than having to do an alignment, and you will need a calibrated frequency counter to do that, so you can get your clarifier centered, align the PLL circuit, but which that's why I had to do the alignment on this anyhow. So let me get it flipped over and I'll show you some of those locations on the back side here. So where you're picking up your 8 volts, that's right here. So this is one you're going to unsolder and then add that extra wire in and resolder it. That's the one that will now supply the 8 volts to the clarifier. Over here in this location, this is where in this radio, it's a single brown wire, and if it was the base station, would be the two yellow wires are unhooked, and now nothing is connected to it. And then if you look back here, these two empty holes right here, this is where that 15 picofarad capacitor was removed. And like I say, the easy way to, if you're having trouble reading the markings or whatnot, it's real simple. That's the ceramic capacitor that is in parallel across these two connections here, which are that CV1 ceramic trimmer capacitor on the top. So you remove that cap, do an alignment on your radio, and you now have an unlocked clarifier. So I thought before I got in, finish this radio up and buttoned it up, I'd do a video to show, in case anybody ever has one of these and wants to know how to do that. That's how you unlock the clarifier on one of these. So you're going to have a couple wires here unhooked. Like I say, make sure you insulate them, put a piece of heat shrink tubing over them so they can't short out, and your modification will be complete.